invite Sophie to come up. Which chair do you want? So I'm excited for us to have this conversation.
Fancy chairs.
In the fancy chairs, yes. And we've done zero prep. This is just off the cuff, totally. But I'm really excited for us to be able to ask each other some questions and share a little bit about our experience. And kind of as we sit here at the end of Pride Month and the Pride Parade happening down in Chicago today, I figured this is kind of a good time to be reflecting and thinking about moving beyond Pride Month too. So let me just start by asking you, how has Pride been for you?
Thank you, David, and thank you for inviting me up. Do I look at you or do I look at them?
You can look at whoever you want.
I'll look at all you. Hey. It was good. It was a good Pride for me. It's really different. This one, it marks I mark it as 10 years of transitioning. I had an experience in July of 2016 that kind of started this. I didn't know what it was. And I guess I would say, I honored it. I just honored it. I tried to pay attention to what it was and watch it kind of change and grow. For years, it was just this inner experience. Mm-hmm. And then, I thought about, am I non-binary or do I want to present that way in the world? And then I really felt like I'm a trans woman. And I really felt strongly about, that identity as a trans woman. And then I think I just became like a woman.
Yeah.
A woman of trans experience is how I think of it.
Yeah.
And I don't center it as much as I used to. So that's made Pride a bit different. I don't feel like I want to go out and educate people.
Yeah.
And I think that there's other things that I'm interested in talking about. Like, you want to get me going, talk to me about Miriam.
Yes.
Talk to me about Miriam and Yeshua and their relationship. I love that. I want to center other things in my life, David. So, yeah, it's just been different, but good, really good.
That is good. And I remember you reading that letter. Was that at Easter that you read that? And it's really cool. I think I've noticed for we've known each other for about 2 years ish,
right?
And I think I've noticed that as you've kind of made progress and gone on this journey, it's obviously really important to you, those huge steps of progress. But then what's been less important to you is like being a trans woman, and what's more important to you is like Mary and Miriam and these other interests that you have, and it's almost like you've passed through something and you've come out on the other side.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge celebration, really.
Yeah.
And I love the idea that we can, there's that verse in the Bible that says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn." And I think, I remember a few months back, or I'm not sure quite how long ago this was, but when Trump was talking about making trans people have the label of domestic terrorists and how scary that was. And a few of us, Brittany and myself and a few people, got together and said, what would we do if this actually happened? And it was a very scary time for people. And I think there's the mourning and the just almost being terrified with those who are terrified. It was a really scary time,
Yeah.
And then there's also the rejoicing that we're not just markers. We're not just our identity markers. We're in a mutual relationship as allies and queer people, just like any other kind of relationship where there's mutuality. It's a two-way street. We're giving, we're receiving, and you kind of like. I think the thing that you and I have talked about a lot is like, if you have moved on into a different phase of your life and identity, but I'm still holding on to you in a previous phase, then that could be really unhelpful.
Yeah.
So I think like that's an important kind of mirroring or reciprocation to, and it works that way with just anything. Like if I was holding something, maybe some kind of pain or some kind of experience, and I've moved past it and you wanted to keep bringing me back to it, like in therapy, as a therapist, you're also tracking with your clients, and that kind of human relationship makes sense, that we center what the other person is centering and kind of mirror that back. How does that kind of land well with you?
Absolutely. That's such a good way of saying it, David. I think the way that I experience from you and people like you that do that is I feel like it's honoring. I keep coming back to that word of somebody who is seeing who I am, tracking with me, adapting how they relate to me based on, like I said, people who treat me like women now. It's just like, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I'll hang out with you. So it's kind of funny, David, as we were talking about this, it got me thinking. David knows I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to like these words in Hebrew and sort of how this ties into the scriptures. And I was thinking about this word. The word is kavod. And the noun is weight. Just means weight. So something that's really heavy. So in the passage today, when it says, they prepare the tabernacle, Moses prepares the tabernacle, they get everything in place. And then Solomon prepares the temple, get everything in place. The kavod Yahweh is what it actually says in Hebrew. The weight of God enters the space, and they can't even enter into it. So much heaviness. And that's glory. That's the idea of glory. And it's also the idea of honor. Honor your parents. It doesn't mean obey your parents. Sorry. Doesn't even mean like your parents or be nice to them. It means give weight to who they are in your life. So I think about this as a therapist. It's like when somebody's doing trauma work and they're giving weight to the impact that something had on them, their family had on them, they're honoring themselves. They're honoring their parents. That's I think what I was trying to get at too with my experience. It's like honoring that and then letting that grow. So the opposite of that is, well, I brought my thing just to make sure I get these right. Kalal. It means to make light. So the dishonor doesn't mean hate. It just means make light of somebody. Treat them as if they're nothing. And you think about how this worked with the scapegoat. I think that's kind of a metaphor that I've thought a lot about. This big metaphor in the Hebrew scriptures, Yom Kippur, has this element of it, of the scapegoat is when the community, Israel, heaps all their sins onto a goat and sends it into the wilderness. And essentially makes light of it, says this is worth nothing, this thing. And, I was telling my dear friend Kathy, who I invited here today a few days ago, about my own experience, that 2 years ago, it really was. It was 2 years ago this month, when the community that I loved, and that told me that they loved me and that I valued, took their unprocessed work, Jung called their shadow, what they couldn't work with, and dumped it onto me. And I was thinking about how to do this in the fancy chairs. It felt like this to me. Boom. See ya. And boy, I had a hard landing. I'm telling you, I had a hard landing. I was wandering in the wilderness for a while. And then I wandered into here. That's why I love Jenny's testimony too. Same with me. I wandered into here. See, you all just pulled me in. I was just thinking, gosh, and I was just thinking that story, telling Kathy, it's like, I can't wait till you meet these people. I can't wait till you meet them. Each one of you. And I was thinking individually naming people, and I don't even try. So if you don't even try, there's so many. It's just joining the community, people that kind of know how to love, how to honor somebody's story and process, and just come on in. If you're broken or whatever, make room.
Yeah.
I honor you back, David. You made so much room for me. Thank you so much for all the space you made and doing the Midrash together, the Mark Midrash and our community there that we built. Just love that. So, yeah. It's been a good Pride Month. It's been a good 10 years. I'm looking forward to the next.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and I just appreciate your wisdom that you bring to this community, And to me personally as well, I remember when I was trying to think through how to have a voice related to pride and related to allyship, and I hadn't been able to figure out how to articulate or how to find my voice in a way that I felt was landing. And you kind of looked at my TikTok page and you were like, have you ever thought about just getting on there and just saying it? Because I was quoting people and putting poems on there and little pictures of rivers, and you're like, why don't you just get on there and just say it? And that has been so helpful for me to, to start to find my voice and just realize although I'm new and have so much to learn, and I think a lot of us feel can we really, be a voice of allyship if we're not a sort of far enough along? And I think just being honest where I was, but then also speaking out, you really encouraged me to do that, and that was huge.
For sure.
So I guess one of the things, as we kind of wrap up our short time, that you mentioned as we were prepping was allyship a lot of times can be a box that we check, and we say, and it's good to definitely to check the box of being an ally, but sometimes it's also easy to leave it at checking a box and saying, I'm an ally, I'm supportive, I'll do the things that come naturally to me. Maybe I'll put up a lawn sign, or maybe I'll do whatever that I can. And I think there's this, you had a really good point, our heart is not to put burden on the church. I think that we're a church that does a lot, is that right? Yeah. We're a busy church, a church that has a lot of commitments. And so the idea is not that you move from checking a box to feeling a burden. But I think what I would say is that there's this verse in Scripture that I really like from Hosea, and Ben kind of did a bit of a reference to it in the Trolls moment. At the end of Hosea, the people are returning back to God, and they're kind of recommitting their lives to Him and saying, we're going to do all these things. They say, we're going to return to you with words. We're going to bring words with us and return to you and say, accept actually the word is the calves of our lips, the sacrifice, the animals of our lips, as their words are the sacrifices and their actions are the sacrifices. And God kind of takes all that in, and then He says something really profound to them. He says, I am an evergreen tree. Your fruitfulness comes from me. And so it's this beautiful relationship where God is saying, you have all these things, and that's good, and you're coming to me, and that's good, but I am the one who's the source of your fruitfulness. And so I think for us to embrace God as the source of strength as we continue in our allyship, and for those of us who are queer, as we continue in our journeys of being and discovering whatever phase that looks like for us, whether that's mentoring or being mentored, or whether that's wherever we are on that journey. I think just the idea of staying curious, of being interested, of having a sense of wondering, what is God doing to produce that fruitfulness in me? So it's kind of the same challenge as Ben gave to the kids. What kind of fruit do we want to produce as we wake up in the morning, knowing that that comes from God, but putting that in the framework of allyship or of our journey as a queer person. Like what fruit is God producing in us so that we have, like I think you model, just this beautiful story and journey to be able to share with others. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Sophie, and for all that you bring to the church. I really appreciate you.
Yay. Thank you.